me and John have both been arrested. John Ure, who's another sort of compatriot of mine, both been arrested at the Capitol building, asking for impeachment. John Conyers, who I had a lot of respect for before then, set the Capitol Police to arrest us outside his office while we were saying "we shall overcome," even though he was from the Martin Luther King tradition, because we wanted impeachment. However, no one heard about it. No one heard that when I was arrested, 47 other people besides me were arrested. It was a Monday afternoon, and there were at least 300 people lining the halls outside of his office to ask for impeachment. To me, that's a news story. The mainstream media is just not doing their job, and it's creating a very ignorant public who really doesn't understand what's truly going on with our country.
We have a protest here for people who want to impeach Bush because they feel that's the only executive oversight that's left. But also we have a group out here that is pro-America, is what they said. You guys the pro-war group over here?
Well, not pro-war.
What are you pro?
The truth, simple as that.
We're celebrating America. We're letting everybody know that there are people in this country that are not ashamed of their country, that are not embarrassed by the American flag, and do respect the American military.
That's right. I saw that.
These people over here are representing organizations like MoveOn.org, SDS, Code Pink, and various other communist-based organizations. And they don't really care about Iran. They don't care about Iraq. They don't care about Afghanistan. All they care about is putting down America. That's why we're here. We're here to oppose them, to let them know that their freedom of speech is not guaranteed to be unopposed.
The breakthrough came with Seymour Hersh in the New Yorker about a month and a half ago. And he broke the story about preparing the battlefield. And that exposes the black ops operations and our support of the terrorist organizations in Iran. We're already funding terrorist groups in Iran now. We're funding them. Those groups include the MKE, the Jandula, and the Baluchi. All three groups are known terrorist groups, and we're funding them. Well, we have a history of funding terrorist groups. We funded Saddam. We also funded the group that was with Osama bin Laden. So now we're funding terrorist groups in Iran. I mean, how can we say that we're fighting a war against terrorism when we're financing the terrorists?
Impeachment would be a fabulous way to preempt any military action in Iran, because this administration has proven over and over that they have no respect for the Congress. They don't believe Congress really has a role in our co-equal branches of government. And I think they're going to try and do what they're going to do with their support or not.
As a professor, I often talk to political scientists or law professors from Europe. And I get this perspective, particularly from people from France, professors from France, who say, what the legislature does, that's the will of the people. And in some ways that's owed to the French philosopher Rousseau, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who believed that the will of the people was going to be embodied in laws. Americans have never believed that. Our will is embodied in the Constitution. The Founding Fathers believed that factions and interest groups and venality, corruption in politics was always going to distort it. So you have to use the Constitution as a check on the desire for power by people that are no better than you or I. The fiction that we have in the United States is that politicians are better than we are, that somehow they're public spirited, and that can be used as a moral bludgeon. Oh, you just don't like people. You don't want to help them. Well, it is true that both the Republicans and the Democrats are interested in people, and fleas are interested in dogs. But we don't make them dog catcher. We say, those are fleas, let's try to kill them. So we have to worry about the status of the Constitution as a check on politicians.
The Bush administration has always said that they listen to the commanders in the field. Nothing could be further from the truth. The commanders in the field have been warning this administration not to go into Iran. And what does the administration do? They fire them. They make them resign. Case in point, the commander of that whole theater in Southeast Asia, that theater that includes Iraq and Afghanistan, Admiral Fallon, he was the commander. He was even the boss of General Petraeus. He was warning Bush against attacking Iran. And it was just that kind of blockade that was going on that precipitated a rather touchy situation that occurred about 3 months ago. The situation was this. The United States government said that there was some gunboats that were approaching our naval vessels. Well, if you looked on YouTube and you looked actually at the photographs of it, these were not gunboats. These were just speedboats. Also, the Pentagon released a rather threatening broadcast that was threatening our ships. Turns out that that broadcast was not associated with those boats at all, that broadcast was something that regularly goes on. There is a House bill now that is going to require that all shipments out and into Iran be searched. Well, this is tantamount to a declaration of war. The Iranians didn't, before that provocation at the State of the Union speech, when George Bush called them the axis of evil, before that they were helping us. It was us that turned on them. Well, we can turn on them again, but this time, let's be cooperative. Peace is always a choice.